from the Crypt.
Welcome, boils and ghouls, to the Cryptic Podcast. My name's Kenny, and I'm here with my good friend, Godden. And together, we're here to watch and review every horrific, often hilarious episode of the legendary HBO anthology series, Tales from the Crypt. Godden. Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, whatever time you happen to be tuning in. Happy time of day to you. Godden, how are you?
I'm doing well. I'm excited for this episode. How are you?
Me too. I'm excited. To talk about Tales from the Crypt, as always.
As always.
Okay, so welcome everybody. Welcome to the Cryptic Podcast, like we just said. We have a few things to take care of before we actually dive into this episode. A couple of things. First of all, as you all know, it's going on right now. Okay. Tales from the Crypt is streaming on Shudder, and Godden and I splurged, and we went and we got Shudder so we can watch some Tales from the Crypt. And I know it's late. This episode airs a lot later than when we record it. So we're recording on the 6th of the month. So it's only been out for a few days, and only season 1's available. By the time this airs, it'll be the 15th, and that'll be basically season 3 will have just released. So this is probably old news, but to us it's new news, which is it's standard definition, Godden.
Yeah. I mean, it's okay, you know. I mean, I hope as the seasons come to be, they're able to up the quality. Like maybe they have the tools, the technology to make a high resolution, but yeah. I'm not going to be upset if it stays standard.
I'm pretty sure it's going to stay standard. I think they already have all of the episodes uploaded, ready to rock and roll, and they probably just uploaded them all in the same, without any touch-ups. But, that's okay. At least it's available. We'll take what we can get, and it's been decades since this show has ever streamed anywhere, so it's never streamed, right? I mean, you've been able to purchase it like through Amazon Prime or something like that. You've been able to purchase it, but as far as just being available to stream, just kind of out there, this is a big step for the Tales from the Crypt community. So we'll take what we can get. We're happy it's out there. I was looking forward to an HD kind of a touch-ups, but you're right. It's okay. It's okay. Let's not make a big deal about nothing. Let's not make a mountain out of a molehill. Is that how it goes?
That sounds pretty nice. I do like it. If you made it up, you made it up. I don't think I've heard that.
I didn't make it up, but I could have gotten it wrong. So, okay. The next bit of news that I wanted to talk about is Godden and I have a very special announcement. We have our anniversary coming up. We started doing this podcast thing the 25th of May last year, which is coming up now. So, Godden, our anniversary is coming up.
We need cake.
Did you get me an anniversary
balloons.
Gift?
Yeah, of course, Kenny. Of course. I'm not one of those partners in crime who forgets about my favorite partner's birthday or anything like that. Don't worry, I have a couple more weeks to work with to get you something real time. So.
Good. Yeah, our anniversary is coming up of us taking on this whole Tales from the Crypt adventure. What an adventure it has been. This has been extraordinary. It's a lot of fun going through these. To celebrate our anniversary, we have a special event happening on the 25th of this month, which is what day of the week is that? It's a Monday. So a few Mondays from today, look forward to something special on our channel. If you haven't already, make sure to subscribe and to put on the notifications so you can be notified when our special event happens. Is there anything else you want to say to all of this?
No, I mean, honestly, I don't want to spoil anything for the surprise. Just, keep an eye out for that drop. Definitely, I think you guys are going to enjoy it. I think Kenny and I thoroughly enjoyed what we made. I think you guys will appreciate it a little bit. So I'm excited for you guys too.
Yeah.
Oh,
it is.
Comment.
Yeah.
You want the engagements.
Yes. Comment, like, comment the video, like the video, and share the video with other Tales from the Crypt fans. Yeah, we do. I thoroughly enjoyed what Godden and I had created. So I'm looking forward to it actually coming out and sharing it with you all. So So yeah, like, subscribe, all that kind of stuff. Godden, that's enough. That's enough of all this. Let's get into what we all came here for, which is to talk about season 4, episode 12, Strung Along. It aired September 2nd, 1992, and it comes to us from the Vault of Horror. Oh boy. Let's get into it, shall we?
Mm-hmm. I'm excited.
Well, before we do, God, I have to let you all know that we are not experts. We are just a couple of friends coming here to hang out once a week to talk about our beloved show and invite you all to listen to our thoughts. They're just our thoughts. Okay. If you have different thoughts, if you have better thoughts or worse thoughts, I don't care. Share them in the comments below and let's get a conversation started. Oh, there's going to be spoilers. So if you don't want to be spoiled, go watch the episode on your own and then come back. Hey, you know what? By the time you watch this, it may be available on Shudder. So go check there. Okay. So let us see what the ancient texts inked in human blood on human flesh say about this episode on the back of the DVD box set here. The episode is called Strung Along, a tale of murder with strings attached. An aging puppeteer suspects his much younger wife as a lover.
That's it.
That's it?
It sounded like there was going to be more to it. With
Yeah,
this,
I know. The way I even saw the period coming in the end of the sentence, and I was reading it as if there should have been more. Yeah. You know what I was getting stuck on when I was reading it? I was getting stuck on the fact that he's an aging puppeteer with a much younger wife. Because the back of the DVD box set makes a big deal out of it, but I don't think the episode does, though. The episode never really paints a picture, or at least makes a big deal out of their age difference, does it? Maybe it does.
No, but there was a line that mentions it, but yeah, other than that, there wasn't really much like themes about the age gap. So
yeah, he did at one point he did suspect an affair, but it was never, he never dwelled on his age. It was never about that. And so I don't know. Maybe that's just, anyway. Here's something I cooked up here. Okay. Retired marionette puppeteer Joseph is thrilled when he's asked to resurrect his old act for an upcoming tribute show. But as he rehearses, he can't help but notice there's something disturbingly lifelike about his beloved puppet Koko. Is he simply stressed and overworked? Or is Koko really watching him? Or worse, talking back? Dun, dun, dun. Yeah, this is one of those, like, puppet episodes, like a live doll kind of an episode. And so I was kind of excited when the episode started. I was excited about where it was going to go. It didn't go there, but I was excited nonetheless. What are your general thoughts about the episode before we get into it?
My general thoughts or my synopsis?
Oh, that's right. My synopsis is too long. Godden, give us a synopsis that's a little shorter than the back of the DVD box set.
Something shorter than what they had. Yeah, I have something simple and sweet and a little homage to what I like. It is Child's Play 4. That's what I'm calling this one. I really like this episode. I think has something to do with Kevin Yeager being the screenplay writer and artist for the puppets, because he was the guy for Chucky. He created Chucky. So, well, he didn't create wrote it, but I think he worked on the actual animatronics for it. Him being the screenplay writer, or one of the screenplay writers, I'm like, oh, this is a lot of Chucky vibes in a way, But I like the way this was handled more than. I shouldn't say that. I really like Chucky still, but I like this style as well. So it was fun.
Yeah. Child's Play 4. All right.
Child's Play 4.
And your general thoughts. I think you already shared those, but anything else you wanna add?
I love that we were strung along this whole entire time. No, it's fun. I know you're a little mixed on it, but I don't hate it. I was trying to pick it apart, but like I said, I enjoyed this episode. I think this might be one of my top 5s in this season, realistically.
Yeah.
I'd rather recommend this again. Yeah.
Yeah, Godden and I, we talked a little bit about it before, and I am a little mixed on it. It's good. It's okay. It's just, I feel like the it just didn't go where I thought it might, and where it went, I wasn't gelling with it. It kind of, we'll get there. Maybe as I talk my way through it, I'll kind of ease up on it. But as of right now, it's just, there's a lot of conflicting thoughts in my brain. So as we go through the episode, hopefully I can unravel that. And hopefully you can help me with that, Godden.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so the Crypt Keeper intro, he is like tied up to a table. He's strung up, if you will.
Yeah.
And he says, yes, that's better. Oh, hello, boars and ghouls. I like that, by the way, boars, because it's usually boils and ghouls, but he did boars and ghouls. I hope you will excuse me if I don't get up. I'm a little stiff today. Then again, I'm a little stiff every day. Actually, I twisted my neck playing croquet, but it wasn't hurting the way I thought it should. So I called my chiropractor. Of course, some people look elsewhere for their pain, like the old man in tonight's terror tale. His idea of an antibiotic is to marry a younger woman. Ah, I call this plasma play strung along. And that's where the board he's connected to stretches him out, and you see his back go. So yeah, he's getting a little chiropractic work done, or chirohactic work done. Yeah, the intro was fun. It's we are starting to get to the point where I've just noticed more often, I suppose, the intro and the outro of the Crypt Keeper doesn't necessarily exactly line up with the episode. He just does stuff, right? He just hangs out and does stuff, and whatever he happens to be doing when we walk in on him, that's what he's doing before he tells the story. Sometimes it has to do with the story, but sometimes it doesn't. So I guess I'm kind of over it. I'm kind of over trying to look for how this relates to the story, and I'm more just like, whatever. We'll just watch the Crypt Keeper doing whatever he's doing. What'd you think about the intro?
I know, I enjoyed it. Like I had mentioned, we are just catching him with his little side quest, and I think we've talked about this before. There was a time where it was kind of always being within theme, or like more similar to it. But yeah, I think it's just hard for the writers to always, come up with gags and more jokes about, I guess, the episode. So it's better off like just catching him in the act doing something else. I don't know. I mean, like you said, you're kind of over the fact of just trying to find something like what's like the common tropes they're doing too. But maybe it's just like now we have two stories. We have the main story and then we have a side story going on with the Crypt Keeper. So
yeah,
we're definitely on his one of his spa days. One of his relaxing days, clearly. So
wouldn't that be fun if whatever it is the Crypt Keeper was doing, that was an episodic part of the series? Like, oh, in this episode, he is he's setting up an appointment to go to his chiropractor, and then the next episode, oh, now he's at his chiropractor, and now he's planning on going on a cruise, and then the next episode, oh, now he's boarding the cruise. Like, wouldn't that be fun if that one little 2-minute segment was the episodic part?
That would be fun. Actually, just have something in the background, just like, hey, there's also just a subtle story unfolding as the season's going. It's just actually. This is go on a day with the Crypt Keeper, and you can splice them all together or something like that.
That would be a lot of fun now that I think about it. In fact, if you any fans of MST3K out there, Mystery Science Theater 3000, that's how they do it. They have the movie, right? The main course, which is the movie, and they all go into the theater to watch the movie. But then when they come out of the theater, whatever kind of shenanigans they're up to, that little segment is kind of a through line. So you really can kind of know where you are in the season, judging by where they are in that little opening segment. So yeah, that'd be neat if they did that with the Crypt Keeper too. I like that idea, actually.
Yeah.
Anyway, opening panel. Here we are with something in the foreground and the background again. We've got a marionette puppet stabbing a woman to death on pink bed sheets, and then looking behind menacingly is the puppeteer. What do you think about this opening panel?
It's very Wizard of Oz,
Oh yeah, pay no attention to the man behind the curtain.
Yeah. I like it. It's surreal. It's menacing. I like the contrast in colors.
Mm-hmm.
This might be one of my favorite panels, but totally because I'm not biased towards the episode. I
Yeah.
do just like the panel by itself.
Oh yeah, no, this panel had me really. That might be another reason why I'm conflicted about this episode is just the opening panel. Seeing this, I was super excited for it. I kind of got this idea in my head of what the episode would do, what would happen, and it didn't really happen. So kind of this episode really built up a lot and then it kind of fell down. So anyway, we'll get there when we get there. Again, a lot of it's twisted up in my head. We got to kind of unravel this. So let's go. We start off with well, it turns out it's a flashback. It's like our main character, Joseph, is doing a marionette puppet show, and they've got some, just some lame marionette puppet jokes, very similar to the opening of the ventriloquist dummy, how you kind of see his stand-up routine. So in this one, he's got a couple of puppets, and one of them says, oh, I lost my dog. And the other one says, oh, can't you see this is a no barking zone? I bet the cops collared him. I guess we'll have to go to the pound. And that, of course, gets a riot of laughter from all the kids. And the curtain opens up and you see Joseph there. And you can tell it's supposed to be a younger Joseph because his hair is very dark. Remember that. So it's also kind of, I think it's kind of in black and white or very grainy, like it's old footage. And he opens up the curtain. He says, oh, I hope you had a great time, kids. And remember, wherever you may go, whatever you may seek, we'll all get together same time next week. That's his little outro. And then we almost like we zoom out where we see, oh, somebody's watching this on TV. And it turns out to be Joseph, a much older Joseph. You can tell he's older because his hair is gray. That's really all they did to him. They dyed his hair for the flashback. So Joseph's watching this old performance of his, and he's kind of staring almost like he's very longingly staring at this TV. He clearly misses what he used to do. He's retired now, and this is where he's at now. He just kind of sits around and watches his old performances and is very sad. Kind of like what I'm going to do in 20 years when this podcast is done. I'll just be watching these episodes very sad from my living room. That's what I used to do. I used to sit there and talk about things. So then he gets up and he goes to the window, looks outside, and he sees his wife outside swimming with one of her friends. So there are a couple of girlfriends out there swimming. And he just kind of stares out there kind of awkwardly and very longingly and just kind of almost like pathetic. Like he's just sitting there. And even his wife waves to him and he just kind of just stares and then kind of walks away. So yeah, what do you think of this whole intro?
Yeah, it's like what you mentioned. He's just like reminiscing of the good old days, and you kind of see how much he made because he kind of lives in some of a mansion, right? Because he looks outside and he has a swimming pool. Like usually if you have a swimming pool and a big swimming pool like next to a house like that, it's like, well, you have good money, you're not just living in a middle income class, house where there's no pool or whatever. But yeah, I kind of feel for him. I wonder why his show ended. Maybe it's what you have mentioned. Maybe he just retired. He grew out of it or something about it. Because like this is such a short opening scene, so there really wasn't much else to take from it than he's just reminiscing. And it was kind of odd where he was just staring longingly at assumingly his girlfriend or wife and her friend or whichever. It could have been a daughter. We don't really know the relationship until later. But yeah, I don't know what to take from that. Maybe he just misses doing the show and he just doesn't know what else to do. So he's just kind of stuck watching old reruns. Yeah. So it's a little somber, a little sad,
Yeah. And he did make a lot of money off it. You're right, because that's kind of one of the crux of, later on in the episode you learn a lot of what happens to him is about the money that he has. So it definitely was a passion for him, though. He loved what he did. Mm-hmm. And you could see that he loves what he did because he does. He watches it. He's almost very sad. And then when he gets the opportunity to do it again, he's very excited. So the next scene, we follow him down into the basement and he's carving a head of a new puppet he's making. And while he's doing that, he hears a voice say, why don't you carve a little more off the top? And he kind of looks up at the puppet staring at him and he says, nobody asked you, Koko. So this is where you kind of get this is where the seeds are planted. Okay, something's going on with him and his puppet, Koko. And at that point, the wife's walking down and she goes, she says, is Koko bothering you again? So again, it's setting up this dynamic of, okay, so he hears this voice, he responds to Koko, and then the wife walks down and she almost like she knows what's going on. I thought this is an interesting dynamic. I wonder what's going on here. So anyway, before I ask you your thoughts on this, I just want to finish up the scene. Joseph and what is the wife's name, by the way? Did you get her name?
I thought I heard Helen at one point, but I don't mind just calling her the wife.
Yeah, I think I feel confident. I watched the episode a few times, and I just every time maybe he said her name, I wasn't really paying attention. I don't know. The wife. So the wife kind of like is upset that he just spends his time down there sulking, and she says, "Why don't you come for a swim?" He says, "I don't want to bother you and your friend." And she goes, "Are you going to be jealous of my friends now? It's just my friend. Like, get out of the basement." Right? She gives him a letter basically, and then she leaves. And while she's walking up, he's looking at her and he says, "She's magnificent, isn't she, Koko?" And Koko responds, "Yeah, she's a real piece of work, all right." And so he's in the foreground, Koko's in the background, but Koko's blurry. Like it's just focused on Joseph, so you can't really see Koko. So whether or not he's opening his mouth to talk is unclear, which I liked because I was like, "Ooh, what's going on? Is this in his head? Is it? What's going on here?" So I did like that it was left ambiguous as to what was going on with Koko. Is he actually alive? What's going on here? So I did like that. What do you think so far?
You know, it's funny you mentioned that it was blurry because I too was kind of like focused if he was speaking every time because I know it's definitely like it's supposed to be Koko, but I too was like, is he actually talking? Is he moving? Is he like possessed in some way? But I kind of like the scene, you know, because then we're introduced to like what you mentioned earlier. He is passionate because there's a bunch of like puppets, you know, just strung along the walls. You know, you see
Strung
all these
along,
silhouettes.
did you say?
You see all the silhouettes just, you know, just plastered across the basement. So, and clearly Koko's like the prize winner because he gets to sit anywhere, or you know, across from his creator, right? And I thought it was fun too when he was carving the little face. It reminded me of what was it? Lower Birth. It kind of looked like the Crypt Keeper a little bit when he was a baby. Like
Yeah,
the face
you're right. It did.
It just a little bit. It wasn't like on purpose. It just funny enough looked like it. But yeah, I mean, we get to see the relationship between him and I guess it would be his wife or girlfriend or caregiver, because I don't think we fully realize it's like his wife till like maybe the scene after. And yeah, seems like she cares. You know, wants him to not be a basement dweller. You know, come enjoy the sun. You know, do a little skinny dipping or whatever they do if you're rich. But no, I mean, he's so passionate about what he wants to do. He just wants to make puppets. He just loves the art, you know, the craftsmanship of it. So like, it just sucks that it's just such a contrast in their personalities, right? Like, well, clearly she's super young, so maybe she does have an ulterior motive, you know. But I mean, you know, I got a little sad for him, you know. It's like, well, he's just an old man, you know, old Geppetto and his Pinocchio just hanging out in the basement. So
old Geppetto was making his Pinocchio,
yeah. I think at this point when we hear Koko talking, you know, there was like a couple things running in my mind, like, oh, is he alive? Is he talking to himself? Like I want to know what narrative they chose, but at the time I was kind of juggling all of those tropes. So
yeah, and I'm glad that you mentioned how she seems supportive of him, because that's another one of the things that doesn't make a lot of sense in my head is she does seem very supportive of him. She does seem to really love him and care for him and his passion. So that was a little bit misleading to me. The letter, by the way, turned out to be an invite for him to actually bring out his old act again. So he runs upstairs. He's super excited. He goes to the window and waves his wife into the house. He doesn't go outside, which I thought was interesting. I thought, is this guy like agoraphobic, or does he not want to be? I don't know why he wouldn't just go outside to talk to his wife. He actually called her in. And I even thought at one point, because they were making such an effort to show him not go outside, I thought, oh, he's a vampire. Maybe he's a vampire. So that also kind of skated through my mind for even just a blip. But yeah, he did. He waved her in. She came inside. That's where he says, look, they want me to do a tribute to the golden age of television. They want me to bring my act back and actually perform. So at this point now, he's got purpose all over again. So he's super excited. And she tries to kind of, put things in perspective. Well, don't get so excited. Who knows if this will become something more? It's just maybe just one-off kind of a thing. Don't get too excited. But no stopping him. He's super excited. So she says, well, at least let me get some help for you. Like, at least have somebody help you do this so you don't have to do it all on your own. I don't want you to get too stressed. Does she also mention his heart? Does she also, at this point, I think she mentions that he's had a heart attack already. I think this is that point. She says, I don't want you to get too overwhelmed because, you already had, heart issue. So let's get you some help. I think this is that point where that happens.
Oh, yeah. No, that's right, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because she was bringing up, like, before you do this, let's get you a doctor or whatever. And he's like, no more doctors. I'm sick and tired of doctors.
Mm-hmm.
And that's, we kind of figure out that he has some sort of condition.
Yeah. So anyway, he agrees to have somebody help. So that's where we get introduced to quote unquote David, right? So David is an old, I think it's her acting coach or her acting man. I don't know. It's somebody in the acting school where she goes to. So she brings him down into the basement to be a helper. So she says, stay right here. I'm going to go look for Joseph. So David walks down into the basement. He starts to do a little bit of exploring. At this point, Joseph introduces himself through Koko. So he puts on a little act with Koko. That's, basically, hi. I explain this part. I'm not doing very well. Sorry.
Yeah, so after his wife, kind of left the basement, I didn't really like the pacing where as soon as he got the letter, he just goes back up and she just sat down, maybe putting sunscreen for a tan or maybe into the pool, and she gets pulled back inside. Like, the pacing there was a little off for me, unfortunately, but I was like, okay, whatever. It's one small thing. But I do enjoy that we get to learn that he's gonna get a comeback, and like you mentioned before, she is super supportive, and it's hard to see her that supportive, and there's such a big age gap where is she doing this for the money? Is she doing this for a different reason? But as the episode is unfolding, I'd be like, yep, she has a good heart, blah blah blah, and she's just wanting to support him. So yeah, when they got David that following morning, I want to assume, it was kind of funny how they go into his basement, and Joseph's gone. It's like, oh, I guess I'll go find Joseph. You wait here, and then we get introduced by Koko. And at first, I'm like, oh my god, is this like is this Koko, or is this like maybe he's hiding behind the curtains, controlling Koko? So I do like how every time we kind of meet Koko, we're always on the fence, like, is he real right now, or is he just being controlled? But I'm sure because it's too early, right, for the setup for them to showcase that he's real. So it was fun to see the master, in his craft, controlling Koko, showing the little gimmicks, and David's just in awe. He's really just like, oh my god, like that's so well done, and then we are shared that he has the same interest and the same passion for puppetry or marionettes, but just the act of ventriloquism probably. So it was cool to see a newcomer, like maybe someone younger than him, wanting to, I guess, pass the mantle down in a way. Like, oh, maybe he gets to be the new Joseph in this modern age.
Yeah.
Maybe that's where we're going into. So I wasn't really too sure on what's going to happen with David from this point, but I was enjoying his character when they met with Joseph, because Joseph needed a friend. Clearly, he can't have Koko forever. So
yeah, and David was excited, and he even says, oh, you're brilliant, and he goes, did my wife tell you to suck up to me? And he goes, no, that was my idea.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's what it was.
So we also learned that David uses animatronics, and Joseph's unimpressed. He says, no. You got to actually have your hands control the strings that control the puppet. The puppet becomes part of you, and you become part of them. And that one little piece of dialogue is what kind of stuck with me. And I just thought, oh, I like the puppet you're maybe you're closest to. That's the one that kind of maybe he's also going to become some sort of a puppet, as well as Koko being alive himself. So anyway, so after they get to know each other, Joseph goes back upstairs to the bedroom, and he walks in on his wife having a phone call with somebody named Rick. And she's basically saying, yeah, I know. I told you I would. We'll talk later. And she hangs up just as he's walking in. And Joseph says basically, who was that? Just a friend from class. And she goes, how's what's his name? And he goes, oh, you mean David? Oh, he's great. He's great. And she seems uneasy about David. She says, he's too eager, too pushy. I don't know if I like him. And since Joseph likes him, she agrees. And she says, fine, if you're happy with him, then I'm happy with him. And that's that. She gets ready to leave. And he says, no, don't you want to stay? And she says, no, it's Tuesday. I have my acting class. And off she goes. So this is another interesting kind of way the plot unfolds, is the way the finale happens. It's just so strange that she's going out of her way to make herself seem like she doesn't like David. Like she's trying to like push, like what if he had went along with it? What if he had said, yeah, you're right. He's kind of pushy. Let's get rid of him. I'll do it myself. I don't know why she would try to push not liking David. It just kind of seemed weird to me. Anyway, what did you think?
No, I agree. I didn't like the 180 in her attitude towards David, because she brought him up as the idea. Like I feel like she would have that kind of understanding of that kind of character, like David, before bringing to the house. Like why go out of your way, bring into the house, introducing it to your husband, and then be like, I don't like him. But like, what changed? You weren't even like there during their meetup, right? Like she was out of frame and just doing her own thing. So I was a little skeptical as to why she acted like that, but then I didn't really dig deeper. I was captivated by Joseph's eagerness. Like, no, he's cool. He's cool. I do enjoy him, working with him. He seems to be like a good. He helps me. He helps me on my craft. So I was like, okay, whatever. That's the narrative I took. But it is odd that she did kind of have that 180 personality for a moment. I was like, there's definitely something going on.
Yeah, it's weird. It's strange. It's strange.
Yeah, it's strange. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. That night, I think it's that night. Joseph's kind of sitting near the fireplace and he's staring into the fire. And Koko's there. Koko's in the background. And again, you can't ever see any close-ups well enough on Koko to see whether or not his mouth's moving. But he sounds like he's talking to Joseph. And Koko asks, are you thinking what I'm thinking? And Joseph says, no. She wouldn't do that to us. Not after things have finally started happening again. And then there's a long silence. And he says, please tell me you agree with me, Koko. And then it zooms in on Koko, who remains motionless. So he's not acknowledging that. So the seeds are being planted that maybe she's having an affair, right? The fact that she is talking to somebody when he walks into the room and then she hangs up abruptly. The fact that she suddenly has to go and it's her acting class and she won't stay, even though he's kind of excited and wants her to stay. So he's starting to have this festering idea that they're up to something, which I thought might have been an interesting. There was multiple ways that I thought this episode would go. And I thought maybe there is no affair. She's a loving wife. But Koko and his quote unquote ideas are starting to seep into Joseph's mind and corrupt his mind. And I was thinking maybe Joseph's going to snap, or maybe Koko's going to suddenly start doing his bidding, take out the wife. And then we learn, oh, she never was having an affair. Right. She was actually planning a party and she's pregnant. No, I'm just kidding. Wrong episode.
I totally forgot about the episode. That's a good one. That's a deep cut.
So I just, that was definitely a route that I thought this episode could take. There were multiple other plots that I thought would happen. We'll get there as we get there. That's one that I thought might be kind of a thing. Oh, what do you think of this fireplace scene, of this whole, not awkward, I was going to say awkward, of this whole kind of creepy night that he has alone with Koko?
I kind of like the scene a lot, and I started to wonder, like, maybe it's only when he's really alone and he's like in his own thoughts that Koko kind of talks to him. But it made me think of Spider-Man, right? When Green Goblin was talking to his mask, I just had like that kind of vibe. It was just like the two thoughts, just like going back and forth, like his morals. So it was fun to see that. Was Koko gonna talk right then and there? But I just love the blank expression every time it panned over because I was looking at his eyes, like, is he gonna move his eyes? Is he gonna do anything? Nothing. So I do love they always play with us to believe whether Koko is real or not. So I enjoy that little bit.
Yeah, because that's another, because the doll could be alive and the doll could be kind of an evil doll, right? Kind of out there to sabotage or whatever. That was one angle. And then again, like the doll could not be alive and it could just be Joseph talking to himself and being kind of like a negative self-talker, kind of dwelling on things, and all of his negative thoughts are being filtered through Koko. I was thinking that could be a route too. Unfortunately, the ending was done in such a way where it's not clear as to what was going on, and I wish there was a little more just lucidity to the ending, I suppose. Okay, again, we'll get there. I got some things to unknot. We're still making our way there, one piece at a time. So next we're back in the basement and they're rehearsing at this point. So David and Joseph are doing their rehearsal, and David is constantly having trouble getting his strings all tangled up, and Joseph is doing his best to kind of correct it and kind of help him out. And the wife seems to be there, and she seems to be very approving of what's going on. She even walks in with some lunch, and she says, "Oh, you guys are doing great. This is really good." And at this point, Joseph says, "Oh, what about the new lines?" She says, "Oh, they're nice. I like them." And he says, "Yeah, David wrote those," and that's where she gets upset. She says, "Wait, David shouldn't be making these changes. You've been winning Emmy Awards for writing since before he was born. We hired him to help with the show, not change the act." So she's basically, at this point, she's putting her foot down and saying, he's got to stop. He's doing too much. This is your show. He's here to help. So again, this episode's at this point, the episode's setting up as if now it seems like she's jealous. Like she's jealous of his relationship with David. So like, it's just, I thought that'd be an interesting route too, but it doesn't really go that way either. It's anyway. Oh, so she says basically no, and she walks out, and that's where Joseph kind of has like a little anxiety moment. His heart kind of races, and he kind of has to sit down to settle himself. And that's where David comes on and says, "Are you okay, Joe?" And Joe tries to kind of, just sweep it under the rug. He says, "No, what's going on? Come on, this is me. It's David. You can talk to me. Is there some kind of a problem?" And that's where Joe says he's worried about there possibly being an affair. And David says, "Hey, I'll stop by during her acting class next Wednesday to see what's going on." And he says, "Wednesday? I thought it was on Tuesdays." And he goes, "No, it's changed to Wednesdays." So now Joe knows that she's leaving on Tuesdays to go to acting class, but it's not happening on Tuesdays. It's happening on Wednesdays. So that kind of also adds into there maybe being an affair. So that one more layer, right? What do you think about this so far?
It's so odd that she's getting more aggressive towards David, and I didn't quite understand why like she felt that way. Maybe she is just so supportive of him, or she wants to protect his property in that way, where he can't even have like that creative influence from someone else because he wasn't like an old time friend or anything. This is a good random person, and next he's changing lines, making it more modern from the 50s to the 90s or whatever. So yeah, it's a little odd that she's getting more hostile, and I guess I didn't really dwell on that as much as I wanted to, because every time I get a little skeptical about her behavior. Joseph saves the day. He comes in with something more jolly or just a different perspective. Where I'm like, okay, we're just gonna go back with this narrative where his wife is just supportive. He is also supportive, and he wants David to stay. So it's interesting how like there's like 3 different stories happening. There's him and his wife. There's him and the puppet being real or not, and then there's like the whole, is she having an affair or not? It's like it's just I like and I don't like it at the same time, because like the episode's so short. Like I want all of them to be answered, but maybe one of them had to be a red herring, right? So I didn't really take any offense to how the scene was played out. If anything, we get to see more of like Joseph. So I can see Joseph's happy side, and like I mentioned earlier, I think literally you don't ever hear anything about Koko unless he's just in his own thoughts. So because realistically, in this scene, he had two supportive characters. Supporting him, David on one end, and then his wife on one end. Whether their intentions and their behaviors were lined up. So it's funny he's getting all the support, but then he still gets like this anxiety. He gets like this little anxiety attack from the just her. It just seems to stem from her in some way. So like there's not really much backstory as to why this happens. Maybe it is just an old age thing, and then just a little bit of stress can really take a toll on him. So I was kind of waiting to see what really happened because I don't know how they're gonna play all these three stories out. So I was like, just choose one and just stick with it, kind of idea. So
Yeah.
just
choose your own adventure and go for it.
Yeah. So, yeah. I mean, just thinking back on the pacing, I felt like we were nearing halfway. I was trying to think of like which is Act 1, Act 2, Act 3. So I want to say this is roughly where Act 2 is starting to happen or end at least. So I'm getting excited to see how this really plays out because I don't know which direction they're gonna choose. So I was like, eating popcorn. Like, what's gonna happen next? What's gonna happen next?
Yeah, my mind was really going at this point, and because I originally I had the idea of okay, she's not having an affair, but either through Koko or his own self filtering his thoughts through Koko is gonna be convinced that she's having an affair and then maybe kill her. Right? I really thought that route, but then in this scene I thought, oh boy, like she thinks they're having an affair. I wonder if she's gonna do something and maybe Koko would have to come in and save it somehow. So I really thought like, oh my gosh, it's like they both think each other are having an affair. So I really thought that she thought there was some sort of a gay romance going on between
I see.
these two. So I that was kind of on the table too, and I was kind of excited about maybe going that route. So that night, David's leaving, and that's where the wife stops him and basically says, I don't think it's a good idea that you come back tomorrow. And he says, what do you have against me? And she says, I like this line too. She says, I'd like to do this as quietly as possible. If it's a matter of money, I'm sure we can come to some kind of an agreement. So they start fighting back and forth. Joe enters. Oh no, he actually asks her, how long have you been having an affair? And that's where Joseph enters and kind of separates the two. And then she says, I have to go. I need to go see a friend. And then she storms out. It's just it's an interesting scene. It's an interesting way to go about what they're doing. I'm just going to say it. They're having the affair. Okay. The wife and David are the ones having an affair. That's the whole thing. So why would she constantly be picking at him and pitting the two against each other? It just doesn't make much sense. It just kept. I think they were trying to throw that in there as a red herring for, oh, no. Those aren't the two having an affair. Psych. Yes, they are. Like it created too many hurdles in my head to have to overcome when the ending got revealed. It was just. It was stupid. It was a stupid plan for her to be constantly pitting those two against each other and then to constantly be trying to get him out. Because at any point, Joseph could have said, yeah, you're right. Let's get rid of him. Yeah, you're right. I don't want David. Right? From day one, basically. And then her whole plan would have been what? What would she have done? I have no idea. Anyway, so that's there. I let the cat out the bag. So that night, he's drinking down in the basement and he's having a conversation with Koko. And again, you can't really see whether or not Koko is actually talking, but you can definitely hear him. And he looks right at Koko and he says, I should have listened to you, Koko. You knew all along. And he says, I never want to see her again. Tomorrow I'm calling my lawyer and we're getting a divorce. And then Koko says, no, a divorce will cost you. I suggest you take matters into your own hands. And at that moment, he looks at his hand and sees that he's actually grasping a knife. So what Koko is saying is mirroring what he's doing. He basically says, no, I can't. And he says, sure you can. He kind of sulks. He puts his head down and he falls asleep. When he wakes up, by the way, that's pretty much when we get into the finale of this. So before we go there, I want to just check in with you real quick. What do you think about this scene down in the basement?
Yeah, I might backtrack just a tiny bit towards when they were having the argument because I did like that scene because that's when I started to dislike her because she started getting manipulative, like, oh, I can't have any friends. But then, the first scene, she was with friends.
Right.
And he said, oh, I don't want to go swimming. I don't want to bother you and your friends. Like, well, I don't know what, like, at this point, I'm like, oh, she's so fishy. Like, I don't know if she's acting like this,
Mm-hmm.
But I do like how at the end, she's like, I'm going to go see your friend. And after she made this whole, like claim that she's not allowed to have friends. So I thought it was a really funny moment. Like, I just wasn't expecting something silly like that to happen. But yeah,
I left all my friends. I have no more friends. Now, if you please excuse me, I'm going to go see my friend.
It's just so silly. And that got to me a little bit. But I wasn't able to see what the letter said because when I was watching on something, it was really blurry. So we happen to know what that letter said when you
I didn't. I was watching on the DVD too, and I didn't even think to look at the letter. It was, I realized it was incriminating. I just thought that, incriminating letter. Okay, I got it. But yeah, he does. At that point, he goes upstairs and he starts rummaging through her things, and he opens up one of the cabinet or drawers and sees that there's a letter in there. I'm assuming probably it's to Rick, like something, I love you, Rick, or something like that. That's just what I assumed it said. At that point, at that point, he goes down into the basement and has that conversation with Koko. So he falls asleep, and then when he wakes up, Koko's gone, right? And he hears screaming from upstairs. So he runs upstairs and he opens the door to the bedroom and he sees Koko on top of his wife, stabbing her. And I thought, here we go, baby, let's go, right? And he has a heart attack at that moment while he's dying on the floor there. David walks in, and that's where you reveal, he's got the remote control. This is his animatronic thing, and it was all fake. It was all a hoax, right? And the most disturbing part of the episode, I think, is when she asks, because she wakes up and they kiss, and she asks, is he dead? And he says, almost. And they actually stare into his open eyes and start talking to him. So he's there dying on the floor, staring at his wife and the man he thought was his friend, who is having an affair with his wife. And basically she says, this is Rick. So it was Rick the whole time. So that made me also think way back in the beginning when she says, how's what's his face? She probably didn't know his name. She knew him as Rick.
Oh, that's funny.
She knew him as, I didn't realize that until like 2 or 3 times watching it. I realized, she probably didn't know his name. Well, what's his name? So he dies. And then we see Rick and what's her name, the wife, start to clean things up while she's gone, because she's all covered with blood. While she's gone taking a shower, she calls the police. But while she's out doing that, Rick, at this point now his name's Rick, is looking for Koko. He finally sees Koko on the bed, and that's where we see him get stabbed. So I'm like, okay, now here we go. Right now, here's the live puppet. Then she walks in and she sees Rick he's kind of like being controlled as a marionette. He's already dead, but using Rick as a marionette puppet, Rick stabs the wife. So that was pretty cool, right? But then that's really it though, because at that point the police arrive, they walk in and they see the two of them strung up together on the bed, and then holding them up is not Koko. It's a marionette puppet that looks like Joseph. So, like, did Koko become Joseph? Did Joseph become a marionette? Was that marionette the one that Joseph was carving in the first place? None of that is answered. None of that makes any sense. Either the puppet's alive and doing stuff, or it's not, and it's just Joseph being delusional. Like, pick one. What is it? I'm okay with either one, but they didn't answer it well enough for me. So I don't like the ending because of that. And I didn't like the whole affair situation because she was so hell bent on getting David out of that house that it didn't make any sense that they were having an affair. She should try to embrace it and foster that friendship in some way. I almost wish, since she was so upset about it, I almost wish she did think they were having an affair. In fact, I think that would have been a good way of the episode. What if they were in love? The David and here's my ending. David and Joseph fell in love and they started having an affair. Okay. In the meantime, she's having an affair with her friend from the beginning of the episode. It could be a lesbian and a gay affair episode. Okay. And they both drive each other crazy with jealousy, and they kill each other, not knowing that they're actually gay and lesbian. That's my ending right there. You're welcome. I like that one better.
That's so funny, Kenny. But what about the puppet?
Yeah.
How does the puppet tie in?
You almost have to say I would just commit to the puppet was never alive and Joseph was just talking to himself the whole time. I would commit to that and just focus on the affairs.
And then they were strung along to an affair, and then they were just killed because of jealousy.
Yeah. Joseph touched into his homosexual feelings with David, and then the wife entertained her homosexual love and desire with her friend out by the pool. That's yeah. Stop the episode about 3 minutes before it ends, and that's what happened. Godden, what are your thoughts?
On your ending or the actual episode?
Don't comment on my crap.
Yeah, like honestly, funny enough, I could have sworn right when he was sure she was having an affair, Koko said like, "You know what you have to do," and that's when he starts rummaging through the drawers. I thought he was looking for a gun. I don't know why. I was like, oh my god, he's gonna kill her. Like, Koko talked him into it, and he's gonna shoot her. But it's just a letter. So I was a little like, oh, whatever, fine. I love letter. But yeah, fast forward to like him, being talked to, using a knife and killing her and all that stuff. And Koko's really, really persuasive, clearly, because he was also just drinking his mind off. It's funny to see like how he did wake up and he heard the screaming. He goes up to look for her, just being stabbed by Koko. I kind of liked he did have a heart attack, but I was a little sad that he was getting a heart attack. I'm like, no, no, this can't be it. Like, there has to be more to this ending, because I thought it was that's just gonna how that's gonna end. But then when they brought in David, I was like, oh, so there's a twist that's supposed to get us. But I'm like, wait, no, then like this is still unfulfilled. Like, Koko still has to be like alive or something. Like, you can't just have Geppetto die and we don't have a Pinocchio becoming a real boy, right? So I'm like anticipating. I'm like there has to be more to this, and it was surreal that the wife and Rick were like just staring into him and just like, haha, this is our plan all along. We're gonna make lots of money off the show that you once had. It was just a little eerie. I'm like they deserve to die at that point. Like they need to die right now. Like where's Koko? I'm like waiting for Koko to kill both of them because it's so deserved for them at this point. So I like that Koko is alive by maybe Joseph put his soul into Koko at that last moment, or he's just been alive this whole entire time. Whatever the case is, I love that he was alive towards the end of that episode, because that whole kill scene was really fun. How he quickly like slices Rick's throat was very Chucky like.
Yeah.
And then it's very Tales of when he was in the wires and then he stabs the wife, or Rick stabs the wife. I thought it was really cool. I do like that old death scene. I agree though. It is a little weird when the police came in. Actually, no. I liked how they were set up on the bed as if it is like a little show, because that's how the do you call those blinds or curtains like on the bedpost?
Oh, what do
like,
you call those things? I know what you mean though. Like almost like the canopy or whatever it is. Almost looks like curtains. You're right. They did.
Yeah. So it looked like a little puppet show. I love that little portrayal at first, but I didn't really agree at the end when they looked up and it was Joseph's face, because it made got me thinking like, did Joseph die? And then his act of revenge, he became Koko for a moment, and then slowly became a Joe-looking character.
Mm-hmm.
But he's just up there holding them up, or did Koko set all that up just for fun, because he's like Koko the clown, he's crazy, he's psychotic, or his name's Koko, and so I took that approach because you don't really see Koko anymore. Maybe that's how child's play happens. He got away with the murder. Now he's off to his next victim. But I think a part of me liked that it was we kind of kept in the dark as to how he is real and alive. Like, we don't really know what caused it. Maybe there's like some sort of like bond with Joe and Koko, because that one line he said, they become a part of you and you become a part of them, and the whole entire time Joe would defend Koko in front of her every time she's like, "Oh, is Koko bothering you again?" Like, "Oh no, Koko could never bother me. He never bothers me." Like it does seem like they have a friendship. It does seem like Koko is his like darker subconsciousness, and then he
Yeah.
just like speaks like his inner demons.
Yeah. I noticed that too. Every time he would talk through Coco, it was always a negative self-talk, right? Oh, you're
Right.
not worth it. Oh, you're this. Oh, you're that. It was always a negative kind of a thing. So Coco, whether or not Coco's alive, I don't know, but definitely everything filtered through Coco or everything from Coco is definitely very negative. So there's definitely something very evil about Coco.
Yeah, I like that. Maybe he's the reason why the show got canceled, or maybe it just
Oh,
ended because it was
yeah.
so long ago.
Or you know
Maybe
what
he
just kind
killed
of
his
went through,
coworker.
what just went through my mind was, what if, here's another ending. Okay. Forget that gay and lesbian ending. Okay.
Okay.
Joseph is obsessed with the affair. So he kills his wife. Okay. Then David, yes, David, because David's not Rick in this ending. David finds out and is like, what are you doing? You can't do this. So he kills him too. Right. Then he takes his show to this the tribute show, right? He brings his act to the tribute show and he's doing his little performance. But of course, in his mind, Koko is right. He's still thinking that Koko is real. So Koko is actually saying to the audience, "Hey, I just killed my wife, and I just killed my wife's friend." Like, that would be an interesting ending too, right? Where he like has a mental breakdown and starts talking through Koko and admitting everything that he did. That'd be kind of fun.
Oh, I see. I thought you were going to go the direction where he has David and his wife at the show used as puppets
That
in a
would be
way. I
cool
thought
too.
that's what that
That'd be a
would be
cool
cool
ending
too. Yeah.
too. Yeah.
I feel like there's multiple ways to make it darker for sure.
Yeah.
But I wasn't. I was satisfied with how this ended because like the double twist. I was like,
Mhm.
oh. I was like, oh. I was like, yay.
Yeah,
So
I was
I was
not
happy they happened that way.
satisfied with the ending of the episode, unfortunately. Unfortunately, I was not. So let us get on to the Crypt Keeper outro. He says, well, Koko may have been the puppet, but in the end, Joseph was the one who paid for Marionette. As for me, kiddies, it seems my pain in the neck was more serious than I thought, but I'm almost finished with my scarapy. One more adjustment. I'll be out of here. Anytime you're ready, Bones. And down comes the guillotine, chops off his head. I think this is the second time he's lost his head, right? To a guillotine? Wasn't there something else that he did that earlier?
I think, yeah. But maybe you're right.
I think
But
there
this
was an
was a very
episode
well
where he
done
lost his
shot.
head in a guillotine. Anyway, his head in a basket. He says, now that's what I call pain and full. And that's that. That's that. That was good. I liked it. It was fine. Well, so yeah, I mean the episode was okay. I liked the build up more than the actual finale. I don't think the finale fit the rest of the episode. I think they were a little bit mismatched. Yeah, it wasn't enough set off. It wasn't enough payoff for the setup, or there wasn't enough setup for the payoff. One of the two, I don't know. You pick. But as far as like evil elusive dolls or puppets, I had fun with this. Actually, I made a list of a bunch of different movies or shows or whatnots that have dolls in them. It's a very common trope, and I like most of them. There's of course Chucky, right? Child's Play. There's the ventriloquist dummy, which was another Tales from the Crypt episode. There's Slappy from Goosebumps. I like Demonic Toys. That's a good movie. It's one of those full moon movies. Dolly Dearest, Megan, Dead Silence, Annabelle, Puppet Master, which is another full moon production. Of course, Pinocchio. There's the Twilight Zone episode, The Living Doll. I think it's called The Living Doll. Yeah, there's a lot more. Can you think of other shows or whatnots and stories that have like an evil doll or a doll that's alive?
Yeah, I'm surprised you didn't say Toy Story.
Oh my gosh, of course, Toy Story. A whole bunch of them in that one.
Yeah, I think you named all the good ones though. I'm not really too sure what else exists out there that's not a big name. But yeah, it is a common trope like you mentioned.
Yeah, the only other one that I have on there that's not evil is Pinocchio. I guess, I mean, yeah, that's Disney, but so is Toy Story. Yeah, it's a fun trope. It's a fun trope. Anything else you want to say about the episode before we go on to scores?
No, I think the scores would pretty much highlight my thoughts on it.
Okay. I know I griped about the episode, but it wasn't. I mean, it wasn't terrible. It's just the ending made the rest of it kind of weird. So I mean, if you tweak the ending a bit, I think the rest of the episode has a lot going for it. I like the acting. I like the performances. I like the premise. I'm gonna go with 3.5 homosexual affairs. That's stupid.
You want that to be the ending so badly.
All right, you go ahead before I change my mind on what that was.
Oh, you're sticking with that. Okay. Yeah, I'll do something really simple. I'll give it 4 strings. I do like it. You know, it's not like a perfect or 4.5 or above because, yeah, there's some things I wasn't really too fond of, but I did have a lot of fun watching this episode. I think I can only watch it twice, maybe pushing 3 times, but it's not like a repetitive episode for me. But I think it's a good highlight.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you know, yeah, I think I stand by my statement earlier. I think this is still a top 5 for me in this season specifically. But overall, it might scratch a top 10 for the overall series. Mm-hmm. But I have to see how season 7 treats me. So we'll see.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's move on to Horrorspondence then. So our most recent episode to air since the recording of this episode is Maniac at Large. And Iron Sabbath came through. He says, this episode is amazing. I can safely say this is my second favorite episode in season 4. I like it more than What's Cookin', which is interesting because that's the episode he was part of. First, you're led to believe it might be the spectacled man. Then it could be Grady, the security guard. Then it could be the weirdo banging on the door. Then it could be Miss Pritchard herself. All in all, this is a really tense and well done episode with some fantastic music and a solid, thought-provoking ending. The atmosphere was spot on in almost the entire episode. Mm-hmm. It was really good. He gives it 5 out of 5. 5 out of 5 stabbed newspapers. Joseph Hill comes through. He says the tension and atmosphere shine in this episode, kind of like Clue, the movie. Yeah, it is like Clue, the movie. I like that. I like the idea that she is the killer but doesn't realize it. Although it doesn't make much sense for her to be afraid if she knew she was the killer. So I have a potential theory, and I like this theory. Let's hear this out. What if the spectacled man isn't the actual killer, but some sort of entity that manifests and manipulates others into killing, which means there isn't a single maniac, but a bunch of different killers all influenced by the spectacled man? Ooh, I like that.
Oh, I see.
He goes on to give it 4 red herrings out of 5.
Nice.
Ash Bunnykins comes through and says, I really want to like this episode more than I do, but I agree with Kenny. That's me. This episode could have used more time to cook. Some episodes would benefit from being an hour instead of a half hour. I rate it 3.5 shishes. In a library. So upon watching other podcasts of that particular episode, I did learn that in the comic, there is a internal monologue. And I think that would have been perfect for an episode like this. You know how some episodes you have the narrator like telling you what's going on? I think she should have been the narrator. I think she should have been talking to us throughout the episode, talking about how nervous she is and how scared she is. Because at the very end, when she finally stabs Miss Pritchard, she could have had a line of dialogue that says, oh, good, I took care of her, just like I took care of those 7 other people who were maniacs. You know what I mean? Like that really would have cemented the narrative, because the way it was done was a little loosey-goosey and it just kind of left too much open for interpretation. So yeah.
I see.
Okay, so before we finish up the episode, I do want to mention one thing. This character, Joseph, is almost like a Mr. Rogers, right? He's like a kids show kind of a personality, right? And he retires and he misses doing what he did. So I guess my question to you would be, if you're still watching at this point, I want you to comment down below. What is a children's television show that you used to watch way back in the day that you wish would, quote unquote, come out of retirement to come back on the air? I'm going to say Mr. Rogers. I'm a Mr. Rogers fan.
Mhm.
I would watch Mr. Rogers more than, because back when I was a kid, there was Sesame Street. I never liked Sesame Street. There was the Lamb Chops. Lamb Chops was okay. There were a few other ones, but Mr. Rogers is the one that I always just loved spending time in his neighborhood. I liked Mr. Rogers. Is there a kid show that you would like to see resurrected?
Yeah, actually, one of my, well, I guess what constitutes as a kid show? Like, it can't just be like cartoons when I was younger, right?
Yeah, not like
it had-
preteen
Yeah,
age, but like 4, 5, 6, like where you would
4, 5,
really
6.
be interested in watching puppets, kind of a thing,
Well, my mom said I was super into Sesame Street. Well, Elmo was my favorite apparently, and that's still ongoing. But she also mentioned I loved the original '70s Scooby Doo. So maybe a reiteration of the old classic Scooby Doo.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, when I was younger, I didn't really watch shows like that, like meant for kids, like Blue's Clues and stuff. I just knew about them, but I didn't watch those actively.
Yeah.
For educational stuff, I'd say like Bill Nye, realistically.
Yeah.
But I was closer to being 10 years old or so. So I was more smart at that point. But purely a kid show for toddler, not toddlers, but yeah, like under like grade school. Yeah, I guess I'd just have to say either Scooby Doo or Sesame Street. Realistically, that's what my mom said I watched. That I have to believe her because I mean, what else could I have watched when I was younger apart from horror movies? So.
I liked Mr. Rogers so much that when at the very end of the episode when he started singing his outro song, I got sad. I really did. It was like you'd watch the full episode. Sometimes he'd go to that painting that turned into a video and you can watch a little video with him. Sometimes he'd go out into the neighborhood and visit his friends and I would always be excited about who we'd be meeting. Sometimes we'd go to the land of make-believe and I'd like to, whatever story that they were involved with, I always get really invested in it. And then he would always, have one last little moment with us and then he'd start, "It's such a good feeling." And I'd be like, "No, I don't want you to go. Like it's already over." Like I would be almost like sad. Like I would have like, separation anxiety.
Oh no.
Anyway, if you could resurrect a childhood show, and I'm talking young childhood, what would you want to bring back? Okay, well, before we go for realsies, I do want to give some shout outs. I want to shine the light back out into the horror community. Creeps of the Crypt. Go to their channel. Everything's linked down below, by the way. So find their channel. Click on that link. Go check out some of their videos. We were a guest on their episode about All Through the House. And we last week just had on Alan from Creeps of the Crypt. So if you enjoyed his company last week, definitely go check out their channel. You've got to go check them out. They're a lot of fun. Of course, there's Haddonfield Radio. I am all caught up with Haddonfield Radio. They just finished their commentary for Texas Chainsaw Massacre Part 3. I've never even seen Texas Chainsaw Massacre Part 3, and I listened to their entire commentary of it. So I know their thoughts about the movie. I've just never seen the movie.
That's so funny.
And of course, there's us, the Cryptique podcast. My name's Kenny. If you want more of me, you can find it at Too Bad About Kenny. That's both with the number 2 as well as TOO. Bad About Kenny. I can be found on YouTube, reviewing books and movies. I can be found on Twitch, playing games. So come through, say hello. I'd love to hear from you. Godden, how about you?
They can find me on Twitch, UAPPO6. I don't think I'll be streaming as much. Not that I was streaming consistently for a while, because I started school again, so kind of busy. But if I do, show up on stream, I will announce it on Cryptikers as well. That'd be kind of fun. But yeah, check out our Cryptiker just so you can have more engagement with us and be up to date. Maybe there's more future fun stuff me and Kenny will do, or just the new episodes that's dropping.
Yeah. And speaking of upcoming fun stuff, we have our anniversary coming up on May 25th. It's not a normal day that we drop our videos. Our videos come out on Fridays. This is going to be coming out on a Monday. So make sure you subscribe and make sure you have the bell and the ring and the this and the that.
And the ring.
And you want to come through on what we have coming out on the 25th. Godden and I are both very excited for what we have created for you. So we're looking forward to premiering that to you all out there. So make sure that you're in a position where you can actually watch it. And don't forget to comment and like and subscribe, all that kind of stuff, and share it. We'd like to get that, a lot of our hard work out into the world so people can see it. Okay, if you want to follow along with us and keep up with what me and Godden are watching, you want to watch Season 4, Episode 13, Werewolf Concerto is what we're watching next. So make sure you watch that and you're ready to come back. We hope you had a great time, kiddies. And remember, wherever you may go, whatever you may seek, we'll all get together same time next week.
Well, how was that for a scream, Poison Ghoul?